If we're not at a Disney park, we're dreaming about being there, and a cup of Joffrey's Coffee Disney Blend helps. But what about when you're at a Disney park? The Joffrey's Disney Kiosk and Restaurant Locator will make sure you never miss out. Whether it's a cool drink on a hot summer vacation or a great cup of coffee at a Disney signature restaurant, Joffrey's has you covered. Check it out at joffreys.com.
Please stand clear of the doors. Por favor, manténganse alejado de las puertas.
We're now passing one of the newest additions to the Disney Vacation Club, Bay Lake Tower at Disney's Contemporary Resort.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I'm Tim Scott.
Why are you yelling?
Why am I not? I'm so excited. It's the DVC Roundtable show.
So excited or just so nervous?
You can be both. You can be excited and already people are getting antsy.
Off the rails already. We've already been on with these guys for what, about 3 hours now?
Something like that. Things sorted out. We're catching up.
Actually been 3 minutes. It just feels
it does.
We did make them cry though, so that's
well,
fine.
We were moved.
Okay, yeah. So very excited.
Why are you excited, Bob?
I'm very excited. November is fantastic because you got Thanksgiving coming up, and my son turns 18, so now he can, when he gets arrested, it'll be for real, and
call his own lawyer.
I know a lawyer. Good.
Sorry, Bob's son.
Yeah.
You don't know any
so if he has any problems with any kind of real estate,
right.
I know who to call.
If he breaks a real estate law,
no good lawyers.
So anyway, Tim.
Yes, Bob.
This gets way off the rails, like a monorail.
Whoa! That one took a dark turn.
They don't go off the rails. They just fall apart or drop a person.
Yeah, the door, just the doors.
Just stand clear of the doors.
Like we say, please stand clear. Who do we have on the round table tonight?
Hey, joining us on the round table for November 2018, we have Joe Quattrochi.
Hello, guys. And before we get started, I just want to wish everybody in Looper Nation and all the Rocketeers out there a happy Thanksgiving, since this is the November edition of the Roundtable.
Absolutely, it is. Also, Miss Rebecca Toon.
Hey, howdy, hey, and happy Thanksgiving. We are grateful for you guys.
So well said. We should just wrap up the show right there, but we still have yet.
Bob, that's all you got.
To introduce.
There's me.
There's absolutely. Emily
There's
Hansa Hicks.
Too much sweetness going on. Can we get some bitter from Emily?
Okay. Has anyone seen my stapler? I'm really excited to be here. I forget what we're supposed to do, but this is me. I'm Emily. Really excited. And happy Thanksgiving. I wish you all a little bit of family drama, but nothing lasting. Nothing with charges.
Just enough for future stories.
His favorite holiday is Thanksgiving, and I asked him why, and he said because everything is beige. And that's his favorite color.
Yeah.
I'm like, you are the saddest human on the planet.
Wow. Interesting.
But,
Beige needs love
for
too.
whatever reason you are grateful. Have a wonderful season.
Happy Thanksgiving. And the show's over, so thank you for that, everyone.
Good times.
Good times. Tim, what are we talking about with the Roundtable today?
Well, today we're going to talk about the latest Disney Vacation Club news. I think we're going to kick this month off with Rebecca Toon. What do you have for us?
I have some exciting news.
Oh.
Unlike Emily, who probably has boring number news.
What? Always.
One time. No, so my exciting news is that the Disney After Hours event that we've talked about several times on the show has recently been expanded to include Disney Hollywood Studios and Disney's Animal Kingdom. Ooh. Disney After Hours events have been such a hit that not only are more event nights becoming available for Magic Kingdom, where it originated, but for the first time, Disney Hollywood Studios or MGM, as it will always be known to me, and Disney's Animal Kingdom will join in on the fun. These events give guests the opportunity to experience the magic of a Disney theme park for 3 hours after regular park hours. Guests can enter at 7 o'clock on their event night before Disney After Hours begins. And they are served ice cream, popcorn, and select beverages included in the admission price, which is a separately priced ticket event from daytime park admission. At the Magic Kingdom Park, enjoy classic favorite attractions from Haunted Mansion, Jungle Cruise, Pirates of the Caribbean, and Space Mountain, as well as newer favorites like Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, plus a whole lot more. Event nights currently run on November 26th, December the 3rd and 10th, and then into the 2019 year. How did we get there so quickly? January 7th, 17th, 24th, and 28th, as well as February 7th, and for all you lovers out there, Valentine's Day, the 14th, and the 28th, and then March 7th. That's as far as they've extended the dates so far. In Hollywood Studios, imagine having little to no wait for newly opened Toy Story-themed attractions, including the Slinky Dog Dash, which I have not gotten to ride yet, I'm very sad, Aliens, Swirling Saucers, and Toy Story Mania. Rock and Roller Coaster, Tower of Terror, and other attractions will also be available. Select quick service food and beverage locations will stay open for purchases throughout the night. At nights at Disney Hollywood Studios, or MGM, will be December 8th, 15th, and 22nd, January 5th, 12th, and 19th, and February 2nd, 9th, and 16th, as well as March the 2nd, 9th, 16th, 23rd, and 30th, and even into April, bordering on those great spring break dates, April 6th and the 13th. Now, for Animal Kingdom, enjoy the best Disney's Animal Kingdom has to offer at night, including the Tree of Life, Awakenings, and Pandora, the World of Avatar, and more. Select quick service food and beverage locations will also remain open throughout the night for purchases. Dates at Disney's Animal Kingdom include December 4th, 12th, 18th, January 8th, 16th, 22nd, and 31st, February 5th, 6th, 12th, 13th, 19th, and 26th, lots to choose from there, as well as March 5th, 20th, and 27th, and April 3rd. All Disney After Hours event tickets cost $125 plus tax in advance for advance purchases and $129 plus tax for day of purchases. However, DVC club members and annual pass holders do receive a significantly, in my opinion, discounted price of $95 plus tax. So that's a $30 savings right there, which I think is pretty good if you're in DVC or an annual pass holder. And a lot of dates to choose from. Emily, which one would you choose? Animal Kingdom, Hollywood Studios, or Magic Kingdom?
Oh, geez, probably Hollywood Studios.
Yeah, yeah. It's interesting, though. It doesn't look like... I see that at Magic Kingdom, some of those novelty treats are included.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not seeing that. I wonder if that's for everywhere.
I do like a treat.
I do, too. I mean, I guess all of them offer certain, like the ice cream and popcorn and certain beverages, and then other places stay open if you want more significant food.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Joe? Which park are you going to?
You know, originally I would say Magic Kingdom, but the more I think about it, you know, my wife and I, we always have a great time at the studios. Mm-hmm. And is there going to be beer open? Because we like to, like, not even say we're going to get drunk. We like to enjoy, like, walking around Sunset Boulevard with, like, some drinks, whatever. And if we could do that while just, like, bouncing back and forth between Tower of Terror and, you know, Rock and Roller Coaster and run over Slinky Dog real quick, it would just be a fun night.
Yeah, Hollywood Studios gets my vote too, interestingly enough.
To have some drinks, ride some rides, I think it'd be a lot of fun. I think it would be more fun than Magic Kingdom the more I'm thinking about it. You know, originally say, Magic Kingdom.
Are you going to agree with us, or are you going to be wrong?
Is there a buzzer available?
Wow, we haven't heard the buzzer in a while.
No, I don't know if I can find it.
Here's my question. I got a question for you guys, though.
Yeah.
Why no Epcot? Do you suppose?
Bob, listen, as somebody who just did a annual pass holder event at Epcot, it was like the worst thing ever. It was like
really.
I would
there was nothing
tickets there. I mean, it's a lot of World Showcase, and
yeah,
and they're not going to leave. I don't think they're going to leave the Yeah, I think the World Showcase is not going to stay open. I just think financially for them, it's probably not worth it.
I mean,
Plus,
when we
these are
went,
ride heavy. These are
Yeah.
like, all,
there's nothing. Yeah, I mean, when we rode Test Track and Soarin', like it was great. We walked on, but like Test Track, they had a single rider line closed, so they made you go through the design studio every single time. So you really couldn't just ride it over and over. It was just like, oh, I gotta wait here to design another car again. There's just not enough right now to do. Now, I think personally, once Guardians opens, it's gonna definitely bring another. And then also Ratatouille later on in the line, you're gonna have a lot more, options there. I mean, Guardians is ridiculous, but
All right,
my God.
So if we all three say Hollywood Studios, would you give up if you had to choose between Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party or one of these after-hour events? Which would you choose?
I go the after-hour events.
Yeah,
I'd go Mickey's the very.
you do the Christmas party.
I've never done it, so and I'm probably never going to do it because it's expensive. So, yeah. So that's like a sort of a thing that people love, and I would like to see it once in my life.
Not to be salty, but if Hollywood Studios still had Osborne lights, this would be a winner for me, hands down.
Oh, true.
Oh,
Very
absolutely.
true.
Yeah.
I feel like this is just a missed opportunity.
Yeah. And by the way, everybody, January 12th, all you Rocketeers, is Disney Hollywood Studios. January 12th will be crushed because that is marathon weekend, and yeah, so that's probably going to sell out if this is restricted.
It's interesting. I think at this point, Magic Kingdom probably would be 3. If I was going to choose them in order, it would be Hollywood, Animal Kingdom, and then Magic Kingdom. Because I love Pandora at night. I would just sit there on a bench and stare at it.
I agree. It's so beautiful. Yeah. And the other thing is, like, the Magic Kingdom would definitely appeal to me as a parent. Yeah. However, it starts at 7 p.m. So, like, you can enter at 7 p.m. I'll tell you what, my kids are totally worthless by 9 p.m. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
well, they're small, yeah.
In a loving way.
So, okay, so this says you can experience the park for 3 hours after regular park hours. You can enter as early as 7. So let's say the park closes at 9. That gives you until midnight. So you theoretically could stay in one of those parks from 7 p.m. till midnight. Is that correct?
That makes sense.
Okay.
Your logic is sound.
In that case, like if I'm not an annual pass holder or a DVC member, I'm apt to probably spend the money just for the cooler nighttime hours and the smaller crowds. I mean, I actually think this is one of their better offerings right now. And it goes into April when you've got spring break, which is typically pretty heavy crowds.
Can I just be pessimistic real quick, though? Because I'm a little concerned that what we're seeing...
Yes, you have to change your name to Bob.
Okay.
Wow. Why am I getting beat up tonight?
I missed you last month, so I have to get
I think there's something we're missing here, guys. What I'm saying is... No, I'm not ready.
I haven't heard him talk since we started.
I'm here.
You got to do it like this, Emily. Now listen.
Put your finger down.
So anyway, I'm a little concerned that what we're going to do is we're just going to start having shorter and shorter regular days because they're just going to start finding a way to break the day into 3 days or 3 segments and charge you extra for the evening hours. That's what I'm worried about with all these after-hour programs.
I feel like that's like if you paid $105 to go into Magic Kingdom and they close at 7 o'clock, I'd be a little angry.
Right. I'm a little nervous about that because you see that with some of the other parks, especially like when seasonal stuff that occurs, like, the days get shorter because they have less employees. Disney they're not experiencing seasonal shortages because it's, people are just relieved when it's not scorching there. But what they're doing is they have every incentive to start closing out the parks a little earlier than they used to. And I wonder,
have a whole new day's worth of revenue.
Yeah, it's like 2 shifts of revenue. And so, like, I hope this isn't going to happen, but it's sort of creeping up to me that they're creating like a day and a night.
What is a reasonable park hour span for you with children?
Oh man. Well, the reason we go to Disney World and that we're DVC members is so that we can go and spend 2 hours in the morning or 3 hours in the morning and then go back at night if we want to for a couple more hours. But I would say if it was like a once in a lifetime type trip that a lot of people take and try to, like really marathon through. I know people that spend, pretty much the whole day in the parks. So
yeah, I'm just wondering if they're trying to turn it into like a family day, an adult evening, like if they're trying to cater more to people without children.
I think you've got to be open like if you're selling annual passes and things like that, I think You've got to legitimately be open by 9 o'clock and open till at least 8 or 9 o'clock. That's what I think. But
and I feel like I don't know that that's necessarily going to change, because they're just letting you in at 7. It doesn't mean the park is closing at 7 necessarily.
I hope you're right, but I start seeing.
Yeah, and we've seen that for a number of years with the parties, with the Halloween Christmas party, with the Night of Joy, with all those other events. They've kind of been sliding in as time goes by, and now you've not seen the parties increase the time, but you've seen them increase the number of offerings they have over the years. We have more Halloween and Christmas parties this year than historically ever.
Right.
So I will say, I think that the discount that you're getting as a DVC or pass holder is significant. That's for a family of 4. That's $120 in savings.
With the DVC price, how much would it be for a person?
Well, $95 with the $95 plus tax with the discount.
That's like a day's admission, though, right?
Yeah, about that. Yeah, because those are your slower times.
Now it's all different. Now the ticket prices are so different.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I'm just going to get an annual pass, so I don't have to think about it.
You're going to need to eat a lot of popcorn.
Well, I agree with Emily. I think if for the price that theme parks in general are charging, you got to be open for 12 hours to the person that's paying that premium. Now, if you want to add on to something afterwards, I don't have a problem with that, because then it's up to you. But I want to at least get 12 hours, minimum of 12 hours. For my value of going into a park.
I think that's a fair. I wonder, what if they offered like you pay your initial amount to get in the park for the day, and then if you wanted to add on for like $40, you could stay the rest of the time for those extra hours, those after hours.
That'd be a scheduling nightmare, though.
It would be. No, you're right.
Yeah. And see, that was always the problem with Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom you had to be out of there by 6, 7 o'clock.
Remember they closed at 6? That seems like a lifetime ago.
Right. And so you're getting in at 8 if it's an early morning, or 9, and you're only getting about 8, 9 hours in the park. And the value just didn't seem as good now that it's open a little bit later.
That's a fair point, yeah. Okay.
And just as a side note, I knew the answer to the whole Epcot thing. I was just testing you guys.
Of course.
Tim.
Yes.
What else we got to talk about?
We're moving on to our second news story with Mr. Joe Quattrochi. Joe, what's yours?
Sure, Tim, thank you. According to DVCnews.com, new this year during the Magic Kingdom holiday season, there's a new or a different party option available, which is called Tony's Most Merriest Town Square Party. So I assume we all know where this is taking place. Hosted at Tony's Town Square, that lovely and fantastic restaurant in the Magic Kingdom on Main Street.
My favorite.
The paid well, I've heard good things that there's a new chef there changing the menu.
Yeah,
okay. So you never know, things can turn around. But the new hosted at Tony's Town Square, the paid add-on offers an evening of food and beverage selections along with preferred viewing for the late night event parade. Okay. So beginning at 9:30 p.m., party attendees can enjoy hand-tossed mini pizzas, stuffed artichokes, and Tony's famous meatballs. Dessert selections include Christmas cookies, red velvet cupcakes, and pumpkin tartlets. I guess those are left over from the Halloween season, I guess. Now, this is... Now, when I was reading the story, I was like, but this kind of like this could be a game changer here, because as somebody who just said I like to walk around with a drink at night, here you go. Beer and wine are included with this, along with a selection of non-alcoholic beverages. So, now they're including alcoholic beverages, which we all know in Disney is usually between $7 and $9, depending where you're buying it. So guests reserve viewing for the 11 o'clock performance is of Mickey's Once Upon a Christmas Parade is provided with the reservation for this party. Guests attending Tony's party can come and go as they please, which is nice. So it's not like you just have to stay there. You can come and go as you want until its conclusion is 12:30. So you're looking at at least a good solid 3 hours of unlimited desserts, drinks, pizzas, meatballs, artichokes. Artichokes, right? That's everybody's favorite thing, right? So Tony's Most Merriest Town Square Party is priced at $99 per person. Separate admission is required to the Christmas party. So this is like an add-on thing.
This is only during the Christmas party? Is that what you're saying?
Only during the Christmas party, and it's on top of it. So you're paying for your Christmas party plus that. So like I said, it all depends on how much beer and food you want to drink while you're in the Magic Kingdom.
Not that much.
DVC members and annual pass holders can begin booking on Monday, October 29th, which is already passed, by calling 407-827-7348. Reservations open to the general public, to everybody else, on October 30th. So this is a little pricey because it's added on top of your party, but this is something where, it's one of the things you got to do the math. If you're going to be at the Christmas party, and instead of eating dinner, you could substitute this as dinner, with, I guess as like finger foods and desserts and drinks. So this might work out for you. It might not. I mean, it depends. It's one of the things you have to do is see how much you're actually going to use or how much you're actually going to eat a lot of this stuff. But the parade viewing, I don't know how busy those parades are that late at night. It's a nice benefit on top of it, but definitely the alcohol, all you can drink alcohol is a nice perk. If this was not alcohol included, I would say this would definitely not be worth it. But since they are including booze, it may be a game changer. So I don't know.
Is there a lesser ticket price for children?
No.
Not 21?
No. It just says $99 per person.
That's on top of the 85 plus tax that you're spending for the Christmas party.
Separate admission is required. So yes.
And how long did you say? 3 hours?
It's from 9:30 to 12:30. So it's come and go as you want for 3 hours.
So I could totally make economic sense just from the wine alone, but I wouldn't go for the party because it seems, oh man, that's a tough one because you basically are saying that alone, like on a regular day. I think the problem is that I'm so used to having annual pass that I can't imagine actually paying admission separately.
Like, I want this just to be on a regular night at Magic Kingdom, not during Mickey's. I would do this maybe if it wasn't during the Christmas party.
How many obnoxious people? I'm a little worried about this actually now that I think about it. Only because of what I would do. People? Like what I would do. I'm just saying, like I would totally drink as much as possible for 3 hours. And so imagine, I'm not a small person, so I can drink a lot. But gosh, guys, cut me off. Censor this, Tim. Censor this.
Well, Emily,
think about it. Even at $10 per glass for wine, which is an average price, that's 10 glasses of wine.
But Rebecca, you're also getting pizza, cupcakes. There's a lot of other things included as well.
Here's what I'm going to say. At Tony's, I don't want their food.
Well, you have to look at it this way. It's the same thing when you do a dessert party. You're really never getting the full value. You're never getting the full value of what you're actually receiving. You're paying for the VIP area. You're paying for the ability to come and go as you want and just grab what you want. That's what you're paying for. You're never going to
not have to be nickel and dime to death.
It's almost the equivalent of. I use this for an example. The new community we moved into in Florida, there's like a country club in there, and they're trying to get me to join. And I'm trying to make financial sense of this. And my friend who belongs to the club, he's like, listen, if you're trying to make financial sense of this about what it's going to cost per round, it's not going to make sense. He's like, so if you're already adding this up, it's probably not for you. And this is kind of the same thing. If you have to sit there and figure out how many glasses of wine I have to drink and how much I have to eat, it's probably not. It's probably not the thing for you. If you've got the expendable income and you just want to have the convenience of having some alcohol and having a reserved parade spot and maybe some food, and you're going to be at the party anyway, and it's going to be convenient for you, absolutely, it might be worth it for you. But it's one of those things. It's like you're never going to always receive the value of what you pay for.
Fair, but I also would argue, just based on the bad taste in my mouth for Tony's, had this been any other restaurant in Magic Kingdom, I would be looking more favorably at it.
That is true, but I have read that they did change. I do read every once in a while. And just for the record, I did not join that club. But they have changed chefs over at Tony's. I have not been there since they've changed chefs, so I only know the old food. Yeah. So maybe things have turned around. I don't know, but hopefully that.
Here's other podcast. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Rebecca.
I'm just thinking, like, even if I wanted to leave and come back, like, I'm going to go and ride the Jungle Cruise, and then all of a sudden I want a glass of wine. I'm going to have to trek all the way back to Tony's Town Square to get that glass of wine. For me, it doesn't make sense for the party. If it was in the Magic Kingdom, in the Magic, I think, that's kind of cool.
This is why you bring a water bottle that's opaque to the Magic Kingdom. I'm on a list. I'm on a list somewhere.
Yes, you are. So here's and I agree with you guys, especially Rebecca. You said if it was any other time than Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, And this is why. Because with Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party, you're getting cookies and cocoa. And so to then add on, I don't know about anybody else, but after having some hot chocolate, I'm not so sure I want a beer or wine. And they're giving Christmas cookies. Okay, well, I could get those because I already paid for the Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party. Red Velvet cupcakes, I'm kind of sugared out at that point. The pumpkin tartlets are probably rock hard from the Christmas, the Halloween party.
Bob's just here for the artichokes.
I mean, I'm just here for the artichokes at this point. And I don't know if it were a meal wrapped around this, maybe a good meal.
Or some kind of character interaction.
Even a marshmallow meal.
Add to it. If you
some sort of real party. Give me a real party right
now, Bob. What happened, would this change your mind if they made it from, because the party officially starts at 7, even though they let you in at 4. What if they made it from 7 to 12:30? They gave you an extra 2.5 hours where you could come and go. Would that change your mind?
I would do that.
Because that would give you 5 hours or 5.
Here's what I would do that. I would do that if they gave me a fast pass to the characters. Or I didn't have to wait in line.
Oh, what about if they had a character there?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if there didn't Tony's Town Square used to be a character mill? Back in the day?
Maybe back in the day.
You could have Lady and the Tramp kind of situations there.
Yeah.
You could have what's his name? Any of the Christmas Carol characters, something like that. I mean, that'd
be cool. I also think that if this was a Liberty Tree Tavern, I'd be all over this.
I want Tony singing to me like he did to Lady and the Tramp. I want Tony singing and doing the whole thing and any other time.
$99 per person, including children. Right. Can you imagine Emily spending $99 per child on this? No. You're right?
No, the way this would happen is my kids would be with the babysitter in the hotel room. And by the way, anybody who's going down to Disney, I think I've said this before, but I don't know if I've ever said it on. If anybody needs a good in-room babysitter for Disney, I know they have their people. I have an amazing recommendation. I won't say her name online, but we've been using her since our children were 1, and she's amazing. And she's not inexpensive, but she's worth every penny. Anyway, point is, they'd be staying with the babysitter. Matt and I would be doing this. The only problem is Matt and I would never be able to choke down the price of the Very Merry unless we weren't buying annual passes that year. That's the only way we could do it. And so I mean.
So the big news for DVC people is they get a day's jump on the regular public. Is that right?
Yes.
Which is already passed, but.
Oh, right. Okay, but there's also no discount, correct?
As far as we know now.
Okay.
I would like to, maybe I'll call in and see if there's any spots available, because it'd be interesting to see how fast this booked up. Because it's not a bad deal. I mean, honestly, especially in our hypothetical, if you get 5 hours of drinks for $100, I'm not proud, but Matt and I can probably polish off $100 in a 2-hour bar tab. So, now we live in highfalutin Cleveland area. So,
Cleveland.
My point is, if you're if you don't really care about the quality of the wine,
Wow.
I mean, I don't know what they're going to give you.
Emily, it's Cleveland.
Why are you looking at me, Emily, when you say that?
I'm just saying. No. We get great wine in Cleveland.
Hard Bordeaux.
Right.
Boone's Farm is created, right?
I live in a little village, and I basically am Belle. So I can tell you we have wonderful French wines here.
I buy the best boxes of wine that money can buy.
Wine is supposed to come with handles.
That's awesome. Yes,
I feel
I'm not proud.
Move on now.
I've had wine out of a can, out of a box, out of a glass.
Tim, save us.
Out of a barrel.
Cleveland.
Tim, save us.
Sleep. He had too much.
All right, we're going to keep going.
Tim.
Do you guys want to hear about sweater pins?
Yes, Emily, what do you got?
Please tell us about sweater pins.
And I'll stop talking about the things I've
For the love of Uncle Walt,
right.
Tim, save us.
Emily, go.
Right. So holiday pins. DVC members can get the free holiday pin sweater set.
What
Very
exactly
exciting.
Is a sweater pin? I'm sorry, I need to know
I'm pretty sure I've seen this, and it looks like a sweater. a tiny little Disney sweater. So
The ugly holiday sweater.
I'm not sure how many pins there are in this set. It didn't say, but you have to purchase $25 or more at the retail Disney stores in person. You can't do it at Shop Disney. You can't do it by phone. You can't do it at the theme park. And I think that's because actually the retail Disney stores are sort of separately owned, if you will.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so you have to mention, so you bring your DVC member ID. You have to have that with you. I'm assuming you also have to have your picture ID with you to prove that, but I don't know how picky they are there. The code that you use at checkout, so you need to write this down and bring it with you, 4542. It's possible they'll already know about the code or the deal, but just in case they don't, write that down. It's November 2nd through November 30th. It's as until supplies last. One set per person, so you can't stock up. But this is kind of a fun thing if you're going to buy stuff at Disney anyway for gifts. And that is the entirety of that story. But I have two other little fun things for you. I forgot that I was going to mention that Disney has apparently partnered. You guys are going to be so excited. And as you know, I get the most exciting pieces during these roundtables. They partnered with Whirlpool for the appliances going forward.
Yes, that's good stuff.
What? So anyway, get excited. You're going to see some Whirlpool appliances. But I do I like the nerd in me likes this because I love those. I don't know how much this is like that, but I love these, like those commercial Disney partnerships. I know that sounds so weird and like American capitalist there, so forgive me. Everybody thinks we're weird. But like I loved all the different partnerships with corporations when they were putting on exhibit things. You know, it's
Eastern
just kind of fun.
Eastern Airlines. You had
Monsanto, Goodyear. I mean, you can name them all.
It feels like
Smuckers.
It feels somehow,
Yes.
yeah, like they're propelling industry and they're propelling, you know, progress and things like that. So I always like that. But the thing that I most wanted to tell you guys about, and this is, I'm just gonna slip it in before they cut me off, the direct purchase incentives for Copper Creek.
Ooh.
And I normally am like, okay, guys, let's stop pitching the DVC direct sales all the time. But here we have direct purchase incentives that are pretty much, I mean, I don't want to say unprecedented because I haven't kept up with them enough to know if there is precedent, but you can now purchase the best, the most economic of them all is if you can pay for 1,000 points at Copper Creek. I'll start with the big whammy. You will save $26,000 or you can get free points. The gist of that is if you buy 1,000 points at Copper Creek, you will get them for $156 a point. That's like the math behind it. I did the math for you. So $156
I did the math for you.
Right?
You're welcome.
Enjoy. So $156 a point, just to put it in perspective, is the resale price. It's the direct price that we paid when we originally bought Grand Floridian back when it opened, pre-opening actually. And then it is also the pretty much about, that's what we bought resale Grand Floridian for earlier this year. So that's pretty cheap as far as getting direct points. That's like a price from like 4 or 5 years ago because the price is currently $182. There are lesser degrees of that discount. So if you were to get 150 points, new members could get them for $175 a point after the discount, or using the free point option. So the other option is that you can get $125 or 125 points, and they'll give you 25 points free, which breaks out to $175 a point. And let's see, you can get 250 points. You get a $4,900 credit. You can get 300 points with a $6,500 credit. And an existing member at the 150 point mark, which is what I think is probably the most reasonable number here. You're getting 150 points. That's with the add-on free points. You're getting those for $168 a point, which again is not too far off the resale market for a lot of these things. So if you were considering and you were waffling between direct and resale for your own reasons, which might be that you wanted to have the direct benefits and you just weren't sure how much they were worth, this price point, these deals are moving you really in the direction of direct being worth it. And I just say that because you can do the math all you want, Disney is clearly competing with that resale market at this point. And I haven't checked the resale prices like very recently, so it could be that they've dropped or something like that. But it's clear to me that Disney is trying to be extremely competitive at this point. This is not like a $225 a point situation. They are clearly trying to sell out Copper Creek. So if you're waffling, why not help them and get a really good deal on some direct points, because you'll still be able to use those for all of the, not that anybody does, but I think some people use them for cruises.
Yeah, but also the perks and incentives.
Yes, exactly. And that is, we do take advantage of those things, and we're talking about the DVC perks, and I think that those, you do need the direct points for a lot of those things. So this would, if you're on the fence about direct versus resale, this is kind of the push towards direct. And I'm not, making a recommendation for anybody, because your situations are all different. But I would say that if I was looking at this right now and I had cash to spend, which I don't, I would buy direct at these prices. So,
well, Emily, I wonder if there's a couple of things. Number one is Alani's still not sold out. Copper Creek is not sold out. You have Riviera that's like 3/4 of the way done. And they just announced the new River Country property that's going to be built, years from now. I wonder if Disney's oversaturated themselves in the DVC market right now, and number two is the resale market has gotten so big lately, and it's become so easy to buy. Like resale is like, there's not just one or two places there's a lot of reputable places, and we're not advocating for them, but there's a lot of reputable places that you could buy resale from. And I think between that, it's so easy to buy resale, and the oversaturation, that I believe that that's bringing the prices down. Like they're almost, I think either people are waiting for Riviera 2 as well, or they're just like, yeah, I'm not paying that much for a point. Like, I'm sorry, $180 something a point is ridiculous. Like there's no way I could afford that. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way possible. And I think it's a little bit of both. I mean, that's just my opinion. I don't have any data to back that up, but I mean, they've been pushing Copper Creek really hard. I mean, we've been talking about it like almost every show almost. It's like Copper Creek. There's always something going on with it. And maybe just people I mean, yeah, their cabins are nice, but like, I am sure the rooms are great, but really you're just buying the Wilderness Lodge is what you're doing. Right. And at that price, you're like, really? Maybe I'll just wait for Riviera, or I'll buy resale somewhere else. I mean, so.
I think, yeah. And I don't know if you remember, but I don't remember if you were on that episode, but there were it was probably like maybe 6 months ago or so. But I did my own Bob rant where I was like, at a certain point, DVC prices don't make any sense. Like when you can actually pay rack rate and save money, then it doesn't make any sense.
It's almost like the DVC prices are almost outgrowing the rack, like at least for moderates, for values and moderates. I mean, like, granted, yes, if you're paying $800-900 for like contemporary or beach club concierge, whatever it is, yeah, it's still gonna make sense. Or if you're doing like the larger 1 and 2 bedroom villas, but like if you're just doing like studios, 189 points, it might not make sense. It's like I might just get a room at Riverside, and save the money. I mean, like it's really it's getting to that point where maybe for the smaller rooms or the people that go every year, it might not make sense. I mean, that's what we always say. You always got to run the numbers and do the math, because I don't think that the prices have really gone up on everything else, but DVC keeps rising. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think you're 100% right about that.
We are so smart.
I don't know.
They're so lucky to listen to us. I'm just kidding. We're so grateful. We're still talking.
And so humble.
Right.
Tim, what else? Do we have anything else, Tim?
No more news, but we have a listener question we're going to get into, and it's kind of along these lines. The email goes like this. It goes, hey guys, here's a topic I'd like for you to tackle. A lot of availability issues for DVC owners has been blamed for owners renting out their points. In other words, a lot of owners may not want to go to Marathon Weekend, but they know it's a popular weekend, so they rent out their points. And non-DVC owners snatch them up to book rooms before the 7-month window. So by the time I, as an Alani owner who can only book it at the 7-month window, has little to no availability when that window opens. Let's see. They did manage to get a room, and they goes, presumably, if people did not rent their points out as much, there would be more availability at the 7-month window, because not as many owners are going to the Marathon Weekend. He says, does this make sense? A lot of people feel renting points has caused this problem at Walt Disney World at many points during the year. Love to hear our thoughts. He goes, thanks for the content. Steve Crease. Thank you, Steve. Guys, what do you think?
I think he is
so many thoughts.
astute.
Well, isn't it the points are points, right? The points enough they're being rented or used by owners. So I think it's just more at capacity.
Here's the thing. This is clearly they're finding a way to make use of the points if they're not using them. But at the end of the day, there's still only a set number. The way the system is set up is to book at 98% availability at all times. So the bottom line is the system is starting to work as Disney intended it to work initially. I think DVC, one of the things that I've always heard as long as I've been, I've known about DVC is the only complaint people usually have is, I wish I'd bought in sooner. And I think that you're seeing people buy in more and more often. And so I think there's a couple of factors at work. I don't think it's just renters. I also think it's people who do buy at at a Hilton Head or a Alani and then want to book in the parks. So I don't necessarily think it's all renters. I think it contributes, but I don't think it's the only factor that we're looking at.
And that's why we always say too, and I feel for Steve because, when I just went to Alani, I was like waiting at the 7-month window so I could go and book Alani at 7 months. And that's why we've been saying for years in the show, make sure that if you're a family that tends to visit Walt Disney World more than Hilton Head or Alani or wherever, or Vero Beach, get it in Florida. Don't buy in California if you're going to be going to Walt Disney World or vice versa. I do feel his pain, but you're at the 7-month window. You just got to make sure you're ready to go. When you want to go.
And buy where you want to stay.
Buy where you want to stay, and it's. I feel his pain. Trust me, because.
No, yeah. Because and as a renter, I feel like even as a renter, I've experienced I can't book as readily available as I used to be able to. So it's not just the own, even people, because if you look at brokers, they're clamoring for points. They will buy points. They are begging for them because they can't meet the demand. So even as a renter, I'm finding it's hard to get and rent the points that I want. So I think now more than ever, buy where you want to stay so that you can book at the 12-month window is hugely important.
And I totally agree. And Tara Renee, by the way, would back Rebecca up on this because she has also had trouble recently finding the DVC rentals. She's had to patchwork things in with cash or split stays a lot, things like that. They're just not as available.
Yeah, and what we're even seeing in the renter arena is, especially in those last minute opportunities, there's 100 points available. There's a renter who has 100 points or 150 points that isn't going to use them, so he makes them available to you, but everything is booked. So you have the points, but there's no availability. And the same thing would happen if you rented out and it's even if you're not renting the points, if you own the points, and if you've got 12 months and 12 owners, within those 12 owners, 6 of them may think they don't want to go during the summer. They only want to go during the winter and fall and spring months. So you've already created demand that you can't meet. So it's not, I really don't believe, I do believe that owners are getting more savvy because the rental market was pretty much a well-kept secret. And then social media happened.
Well, and Rebecca, you took the words right out of my mouth. And I was just going to say that it's like what I just told Emily with regards to resale. It's become easier to rent points now. Mm-hmm. It's become easier as an owner to make your points available to a third party. And it's become easier as a renter to go to a reputable third party and rent points. Because think about it, when DVC came out 26 years ago, you were maybe using message boards. It was one of those things. It's buyer beware. And really, and now you've got a handful of reputable rental companies that are out there, maybe 4 or 5, rental companies, and it's become that much easier. It's almost like another option. I can't use my points. Oh, what's the rack rate on Disney World's website? Oh, what about renting points? That's almost like another automatic option.
Absolutely.
That I'm saying that you said it was a well-kept secret or something that was rarely done. And now it's done so much now.
I think Disney picked up on that because didn't they just offer one of the newest offerings was one of the things where you could actually book the week of a race weekend.
Yes.
Like instead of renting point, or instead of buying points, you bought race weekend.
You get like a fixed week.
So I think Disney has picked up on this and is seeing it. I just don't know that they've completely adjusted. And to be honest, I don't know that they want to, because the honest truth is, if they're booked up, they're making money. They don't care if you know what I mean, not that they don't care if you didn't get a room, but if you can only book out at the 7-month window versus a 12-month window, they're going to tell you, well, if you want to stay at Boardwalk, buy at Boardwalk.
Right.
Let us sell you some points.
So I mean,
here's the other thing.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, my advice to Steve would just be like, and I'll let you finish on me. I'm sorry. But listen, I feel your pain as somebody who just returned from Alani. Absolutely amazing place. And if I had a hard time booking at the 7-month window, I would feel exactly how he would for the week I would want to go. So my suggestion to him would be like, listen, man, like, you know, certain weekends are going to be really tough. Just be right on it like that morning and just waitlist everything. You know, put in for like Saratoga or Key West, get those resorts, and then re-waitlist things again. You know, get the easier resorts first, and then if you really want to stay at Boardwalk or Beach Club, at least get a reservation and then just re-waitlist something else. I mean, that's the best.
Flexible.
And be flexible. That's the best thing we could tell you. I mean, I know it kind of stinks, but I feel his pain because it's frustrating. You're like, this is not what I signed up for. But it's it's one of those things that it's just the points are being used now, by everybody.
Do you think there's a time at which that cycles back? It kind of comes back around, especially if they start building more DVC properties.
I don't know.
If you're flexible, can you?
Well,
I don't know if the Pandora's box is open at this point.
Well, I don't know, because as newer properties come online, will the older properties be easier to get? Like, will Saratoga or Old Key West be easy to get? Because
Old Key West is just a huge property to begin with. It was interesting where he said not many owners are going to Marathon Weekend. I actually might take exception to that. I think one of the reasons people are buying right now is because they are runners, and they feel like if they book out of that 12-month window, if they buy where they want to stay, like there's some savvy runners out there, and if they buy where they want to stay at the 12-month window, I actually think there's a lot of runners out there who are buying into DVC. I think that's like the new norm.
Right, and that is actually the underlying thing that I would mention, is that these race weekends are legitimately calendar
a dirty money grab, right?
but like it's predictable that the holidays are all going to be dream season or whatever the most expensive category is. But these running weekends are not always lined up with the most expensive DVC weekend, so you don't have the ability to regulate the point economy like they do for holidays. So what you're seeing is these guys are floating all around through the year, and DVC doesn't have a premium on those race weekends. If they were able to sort of,
I think they are now, Emily. I think didn't they make January Marathon Weekend? I think Marathon Weekend is a premium. I think it's a premium weekend.
I also think I think Wine and Dining is, because I bought in as Wine and Dining, because granted I don't like it, like you said, Joe, on I think Twitter or Facebook the other day. It's not the same as when it used to be at night.
Correct.
But Wine and Dine is still a cool race. But even if I wasn't doing the Wine and Dine race, I'd want to be there for Wine and Dine. Like that's a no lose situation right there.
But as an owner, you got to look at the point charts every year, and part of that economic distribution of the people in the rooms that Disney does is by manipulating those point charts and making certain weeks more attractive or less expensive, or you know what I mean. So here you got a lot of people that do like Earn Disney, and those of us in DVC. Honestly, a lot of us are looking for ways to make Disney new and exciting for ourselves as adults, and and incorporate personal challenges and all that stuff. And a great way to justify an adult trip to Disney is with a running event. And so it's kind of, as you guys mentioned, it's very linked. I think Run Disney and DVC can be very linked. And although they have adjusted perhaps the point calendar, they can't do it quite as acutely as they do for say Easter week or Christmas week or and so since they're not able to do that, these random times are going to be always in demand. But honestly, it's kind of how it works, and you do have
to. And it was how it was set up to work,
right? And if you find you're going here, if you can't afford to wait at the 7-month window, you can either rent from an 11-month window person and rent out your points for a premium time at Alani. So that's one creative solution you could do. Or you can look for, in that position, you really can look for a rental, and you got to weigh your options. Because I was looking, in response to this, I was looking for marathon weekend rentals. I looked on eBay, which is a place that normally has a bunch. They only had one, and it only spans, so it goes from January 5th through 12th, $2,100 for a 1-bedroom at Saratoga Springs.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's not totally unreasonable. So you can always look there and see if you can pay cash less expensively and rent your points out at a premium at Aulani. But then if you look for Christmas week, which is the notorious week for people booking at the 11-month window, because that's very predictable, and then reselling those rental reservations, they're still not making so much money, because there's one Grand Floridian studio for 4 nights over December 22nd through December 26th. It doesn't have any bidders, and it's $1,000. There's a Copper Creek from the 23rd to the 27th, which is 5 nights, for $2,600. That's a 1-bedroom. There's a Grand Floridian 1-bedroom villa for $5,500 a night for 5 nights. That is $1,100 a night, by the way, or best offer.
Wow.
Bay Lake Tower, 5 nights for $3,000 for the Christmas week in a studio. But honestly, when I was looking at the Grand Floridian studio, I was like, 4 nights for $999? Man, I might bid on that. That's too much.
I also think you have to realize, too, that I think more and more it's becoming apparent that DVC is more successful for people who are planners, not for people who are impulsive.
Right.
And not to say that people who are impulsive still can't get great deals. They can. But I think that if you're a planner, you're going to get way more out of your DVC points than you are if you tend to be more impulsive.
I totally agree with that.
And our man Steve here is a planner because he's waiting at the 7-month window, but everybody else is planning too. That's the problem. So like while he's planning, he's ready to go. Everybody else is doing the same thing.
So you walk in with a couple of takeaways. Buy where you want to stay. Plan ahead. And depending on who, I mean, you can lay the blame at anybody's feet you want. You can lay the blame at renters. You can lay the blame at Disney if you want to consider them overselling it, which I don't think they're overselling. I think they're trying to fully sell it. Or you can say, hey, if you want to stay at Beach Club or Boardwalk, don't buy at Hilton Head.
Right.
So there's all of these things. Plus, there's just the general popularity of DVC that's growing because people who own it are happy, and that's the worst thing that can happen to a secondary market is for the people who primary market to be happy.
So true.
And that's the thing is people are happy with their purchase and they're staying and using their points. So and social media is just a beast of a knowledge wheel. So I think we're going to see this get worse before it gets better because I don't think they can build at the capacity to drive the need back down.
Yeah, the big question is, are the people who are now purchasing DVC, are they going to be more runners or less runners? And honestly, I think it's going to be more runners.
I think it's going to be more runners. I think it's going to be people who travel and vacation consistently at the same time of year every year.
But when you think about it, it's just like a timeshare, a straight-up timeshare, which is what it is, kind of. You are entitled to stay at your property. You're not entitled to any specific dates. You're entitled to try
unless you buy a specific week.
Yeah, which you could do, by the way. And so,
yes.
if this is an issue for you, and you find that if you think you're gonna do this every year, it's worth looking into one of those fixed weeks at an on-property resort. But if it's just gonna be a once every once in a while. Let's give Steve credit. He did actually manage to book his room at the 7 months. So
he's asking the right questions, to be honest. Like this is a very forward-thinking question,
right?
Let me ask you guys this question: would Steve, if possible, if financially possible, would it make sense for him to buy into whatever the minimum could be at one of the Walt Disney World resorts, since he's an Aulani owner?
Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think even if you bought in at the minimum, like say 50 points, you can't combine the points you have in Aulani.
Just
only spend the 50 points.
It's just say he bought 50 points at Copper Creek, at the minimum, right? He would, at the 11-month window, he'd only be able to book a reservation up to 50 points at Copper Creek.
Now, if this was his heart's desire, he could resell his Aulani points and by resell into Boardwalk Beach Club.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work.
I'm not saying it's a good idea, Joe. I'm saying
it's possible. It's a lot of work, yeah.
Or maybe he keeps the Alani points, rinse them out every year, and builds up enough cash revenue to buy points on the resale market for the other resort that he wants to stay at.
Right. Just rent out and also if this is not a regular thing for you, probably renting out the Alani points and purchasing a reservation or trying to rent somebody else's 11-month window actually might make sense. If you're going to
Alani every year, I want to know you. I want to be your friend.
Absolutely.
Call me.
Well, seriously, we met so many people at Alani that were from California and the West Coast. Like that was like not a big deal for them to fly to Hawaii.
Right.
So we did meet members there that were Alani peeps that were like California people. They're like, oh yeah, we come here every year. I'm like, that makes sense. It's like 4-hour flight.
That's
I think it also helps to just remind yourself that although it's a points-based timeshare, you didn't buy there, so theoretically the only reason you can go there is because somebody else who owns there is not going to go there when you're going. You know what I mean?
So either you got in line before the person ahead of you to rented the points.
Right. Don't be so mean about it, Emily. Jeez.
Wow. Okay, you forget Emily likes to go in Florida.
Right. No, but like it helps conceptualize it.
The fans are just to identify you as an actual DVC owner.
Right.
And Joe is going to come around and ask to see your pin.
Right. But yeah, I think
sweater
it really
pin
does help.
Yeah.
But then think about it the reverse way. No one's allowed to stay at Alani unless you or one of your other members are not going to be there. You know what I mean? So it's not a hotel. It's like it's a timeshare. It's like somebody owns that unit. And somebody has to not be like sitting in that unit for you to go there.
I just think again, it drills home the point that we mentioned from the very first episode of buy where you want to stay.
Right.
There you go.
Awesome.
Well, before we wrap this show up, you guys know we love you.
We do.
We love Brad. Brad's not here. He's actually Brad's planning his Walt Disney World trip. He's going to be down there very, very soon. We're not the only ones that love you guys. I know, hard to believe. I wanted to read this. This comes from Joanna Hernandez. She says, "Love the Roundtable. Thanks for the reminder to check the DVC website more regularly to keep up with the exclusive offers. It's true. Easy to overlook great opportunities just because you're not aware." So that's just one of the many emails and comments. Actually, we have the comments on our website.
Aww.
Thank you very much.
We love you, Joanna.
Thank you for all these internet tools, DVC availability tool. There's so many good tools out there. Yeah.
I think it's actually Jonna Hernandez.
Jonna?
Oh,
Johanna.
Johnna. I apologize.
Can we call her Johanna?
I think I did.
Well, you'd have to ask her.
All right.
I have a friend named Jonna. There's a
Johanna
named Jonna.
Johanna. Let us know what you'd like to be called.
My Jonna was named after her father, John. So I think it was Jonna in her case.
Oh, shout out to my friend Johnny Suzette. She's a Johnny, but yeah.
Jonna didn't say she loves me because obviously I can't even pronounce.
Well, you know.
Well,
so
you know what?
And I understand.
You guys are loved by association.
They will let us know what they would be called. That's awesome. And
so
Steve,
Tim,
yes, Bob.
Before their heads get too big, that is all I have for our DVC Roundtable.
Well, guys, thank you very much. Appreciate all the input. Thanks for Steve for writing us a letter. Joe, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Joe Quite. You can also find me over at the Mickey Dudes podcast.
Excellent. Rebecca Toon, how about you?
You can find me on Twitter at, I have a new name. It's really cool. Tequila Becca.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Tequila Becca, Facebook, Instagram, and at the ResortLoop.com podcast, blogger, and Looper Nation Live. Come talk to us.
Please do.
Absolutely.
And Emily Hansa Hicks, where can people find you?
You can find me at any place where I can get unlimited drinks for $5.
Except for Tony's Town Square.
Well, sure, because I can't get in that night. I'd have to pay another $85. No. Disney lounging. First comes WDW, Resort Loop Rocketeers. I'm trying to make a case for getting down for Marathon Weekend 2020. One of my friends is trying to convince me to run a marathon. That seems like insane, but you know. stranger things have happened. Anyway, point is, let's see, Resort Loop, I already said that. Loop Nation Live. Yeah, on the internet, essentially, guys, on the internet.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Absolutely. Everybody, thanks for joining us. This has been the DVC Roundtable. This has been ResortLoop.com. Everybody, please go out there and share the gateway to the magic.
See you, everybody.
Vacation memories will stay with you and your family for a lifetime. The Resort Loop Travel Group was created with this in mind. Our fee-free services will relieve you of the stress and confusion of finding and booking the best vacation at the best price. After booking, we will continue to monitor for ways to save you even more on your vacation. We will check for any upcoming packages and discounts to save you as many vacation dollars as possible. Resort Loop Travel Group, gateway to your magical vacation memories. Get a quote, or for more information, visit ResortLoopTravelGroup.com.